it's Andrew again. I'm one of the board-certified music therapists here at St. Louis University's Cancer Center, and today I'd like to talk with you about capos, how they can be used to easily transpose music for your singing range, and how they can transform the timbre of your guitar to make things sound a little bit more interesting. Capos are brilliant little devices that hold the strings down for you, as if your finger was pressing down all of the strings wherever you set your capo. So in essence, you're basically moving the nut of the guitar wherever you set your capo. And then you can play first position chords really in any key. So instead of having to use, tricky little bar chords or power chords up and down the neck, you can access new keys and new sounds very simply by using first position chords. That simple. Let's talk a little bit more about the different types of capos that are out there. One of the most popular capo manufacturers is Kaiser. They make capos for guitars, 12-string guitars, mandolins, ukuleles, banjos, you name it, they got it. Very accessible, very affordable. You've probably seen one, or you probably own one. And I think they work really well, but what I don't like about them is that they press down on the strings as hard on one fret as they do on another fret. And if you look at the guitar neck, you'll notice that it gets wider near the bottom. It gets thicker near the bottom, rather. So if you're pressing down hard on the first fret, that might be all well and good, but if you scoot it up to the 7th fret, all of a sudden you've got the same amount of tension, but less room for the strings to move. So it tightens the strings too hard, and it throws them out of tune. So you'll put on your capo, and then you have to tune again. So what's the point of all of that? What I like about variable tension capos, like this Shub here, this is my little friend, Shub. See how it's got this little kind of screw doohickey with a spring? That lets me adjust how hard this bar comes down on top of the strings. Very handy, especially when you get used to how much tension each spot on the guitar requires, because then you don't have to retune each time you put on the capo. That saves you a lot of time, more time that you can be engaging in conversation, more time that you can be playing good music, right? Good music. Hey. That's what this is all about. But now we're going to get into a little bit of what you can do with these capos and why I've been talking so long about capos and why they're important. This is going to be fun. We're going to learn a couple of songs, and you're going to learn how to play them in a couple of different ways. So, buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy, these capos, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. Capos are awesome, I'm not going to lie. They make being a music therapist really fun, because they allow you to be creative. They allow you to really kind of tap in to the versatility of where you can play guitar, where you can address certain keys and certain notes on the neck. Because, as we all know, that's a C, that's a C, that's a C, and that's a C, and then there's a few other C's on there as well. But we can use that knowledge of where notes are on the fretboard here to design and redesign how we address these different chords. So I'm going to show you a really standard arrangement for a very popular song, plenty of you have heard it, called Wagon Wheel by Old Crow Medicine Show. Some of you may know it by Darius Rucker. Shame on you. So it's just A, E major, F sharp minor, and D. Okay, so that's how one guitar player can play it. Another guitar player, maybe somebody who's not really interested in playing in the key of A, can still play in the key of A if they use their brain and their capo. So now we just play it in G, because the E string played on the 5th fret is an A. So putting 3 frets between the U and the capo, which is the nut, all of a sudden a G becomes an A. So we play G to D to E minor And for a lot of people, that is probably going to be a lot more comfortable to play, because if you're a beginner or an intermediate player, you're probably not as comfortable with bar chords. If you are, good for you. If not, that's okay. You can still work around it, thanks to our good friend here, the capo. That F sharp minor all of a sudden becomes a very simple E minor chord, thanks to the capo. So you gotta use a little bit of theory to kind of connect the dots. Now I'd like to show you a popular song by the British band Oasis called Wonderwall. They originally played in the key of F sharp, which without the capo is not impossible to play, not quite as simple to play. So, F sharp, A, E major, B7. A little trickier, you've got that F sharp minor that you've got to bar or kind of come up with an open ringing, position, which is not impossible, but not as easy. And then you've got to have that tension on the B7, which is not as easy to do when you've got to bar it, but it becomes very simple when you capo it. Alright, so now pay attention. We're going to play an E minor chord, and these two fingers are not going to move. They're going to hold what we call a pedal tone throughout most of the song. So watch what I do. I play an E minor with that pedal tone, a G with that pedal tone, a D with that pedal tone, and then I go to an A7, which is very easy. And it sounds like this when you put it all together. Today's gonna be the day that we're gonna go back. And so if we don't like playing it in E minor, if we really like the key of D minor, we take our knowledge of the fretboard. There's F sharp, there's F sharp, there on the D string. So if I like D, I just plant that puppy right there on top of the 4th fret where the D string naturally rings an F sharp. So we play D minor, F, C, and it's the same song. Today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna throw it back to you. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, we can even get crazy and go all the way down here, because believe it or not, all the way up here, you've got another F sharp minor. And it sounds kind of cool when you've got two guitars. One guitar playing at this position, and maybe another guitar playing up here at this high position, because you have all these high notes that are ringing. They're in this key, but they're different. Before I conclude the video, I'd like to talk a little bit more about transposing songs for your voice. What's really important for us in therapy sessions is to make sure that the songs that we're singing are in a comfortable key for our voice, so that we're not straining ourselves, and so that the quality of our voice sounds as strong as it can. So, for instance, if you learned a song in the key of E, and you've got it all mapped out, it feels really good on your left hand, you know all the chords really well, but then you go and you sing it and it doesn't sound so good. It's a little too high for you. That's okay. That's alright. No shame in the game, my friend. All you gotta do is use that magical capo. You put it on the 2nd fret, transpose the song to the key of C, 1, 4, 5, probably a minor 6 in there somewhere. You can figure it out. You've done your homework. Put that song in the key of D by placing the capo on the 2nd fret and playing it in C, and then you've moved it down a full step. If you need to move it down another maybe half step, just get that capo down to the first fret, play it in C. Now you're in D flat. You're a step and a half down from the original key, and chances are, as long as you can keep the melody contour in the same realm, it's going to sound just fine. No one's going to be any wiser, and you are going to be way more comfortable singing. And that's ultimately going to translate into a much better performance and a much better session. Please feel free to write any questions you may have concerning the capo, whether it's a transposition issue or if you're looking to find a new way to play a song that you've been playing forever and now it's gotten boring. It's been my great pleasure to talk to you today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Pick up your guitar and have fun with it. That's what this is all about, because that fun is going to translate into good energy for your patients and your sessions. Thanks again.